Hello, my name is Alfredo Salmon Mijage from Edukea Tanzania company. Welcome in this session to proceed with our third topic in Form 5 history, which is the people of African origin in the New World. On the last session, we ended on Pan-Africanism movement, the Black Solidarity, the second movement that was established or formed in New World to liberate the black people in the New World. And within that movement, we explained almost 4 conferences which were conducted under Pan-Africanism. So today we are going to proceed with the fifth Congress or conference which held or conducted under Pan-Africanism. The 5th Pan-African Congress, the Congress took place in New York in 1927. It means that the 5th Congress took place in New York in 1927. This was the last Pan-African Congress which was directly linked to Dr. Du Bois and George Padmore. It means that this 5th Pan-African Congress was the last Pan-African Congress that was directly linked or chaired or held by Dr. Du Bois and George Padmore. There were conflicts which mainly between Marcus Garvey and Du Bois. So you can see that during this Congress there was conflict that was mainly between Marcus Garvey and Dr. William Du Bois. Marcus Garvey, one of the founder of Back to Africa movement, wanted to deport all people of African origin back to Africa, while Du Bois preferred to fight from exile. It means that they were different in ideas, or they come up with different ideas that were controversial each other. It means that that was contradicting each other. It means Marcus Garvey wanted the black people in the New World to be taken back in Africa, and while Du Bois was preferred to fight from exile. So you can see that was the conflict that was mainly between among these 2 black people or African people origin readers. Another Pan-African Congress was the Pan-African Federation convened in Radical Congress in 1945 in Manchester. It means that this was the Congress that took place in Manchester in 1945. This was the Manchester Conference of 1945, and the conference was inspired by President Woodrow Wilson of the United States, who declared the principle of self-determination. It means that the conference was inspired or was much inspired by the President of the United States of America, so-called Woodrow Wilson, who declared the principle of self-determination. This was the conference that demanded complete independence for the Africans. To mean that this was the conference, or the 5th conference, that was demanded the complete independence for the Africans. After the conference, the intellectuals went back to Africa to mobilize the people for independence instead of remaining in Europe. It means that after the conference, the intellectuals or the African intellectuals who attended the conference went back to Africa and to mobilize the Africans, or to mobilize the people of Africans for independence or struggle for independence instead of remaining in Europe and the New World. The conference was attended by a number of nationalist leaders from Africa such as Jomo Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Peter Abrams and Wallace Jackson. These were the African nationalist leaders who attended the conference. The members at this conference adopted the following resolutions. To mean that during the conference, the African nationalist leaders adopted some resolutions. For example, the first one was the members demanded complete independence from colonial rule. It means that those leaders who attended the conference, when they come back in Africa, they demanded the complete independence from their colonial masters. They argued that we demand Black African autonomy independence so far and no further than it is possible in this one world for groups of people to rule themselves. That was the resolution number 1 that was come up with by the African nationalist leaders, as they pronounced that we demand Black African autonomy independence so far and no further than it is possible in this one world for groups of people to rule themselves. So they wanted the self-rule or self-domination. So they were tired about all forms of colonialism. They didn't want anymore the colonialists to remain in their country or in their continent known as Africa. So that's why they wanted or they demanded the complete independence from the colonial masters. The second one, they also demanded universal suffrage and condemned colonialism. To mean that they also demanded the universal suffrage, whereby the matured person who have almost 18 years old and above to participate in a decision making or in a vote in a voting process or political matters, and to eliminate colonialism in their area. But there's something which you have to note. It is the African nationalists such as Kwame Nkrumah, Kamuzu Banda, and Nnamdi Azikiwe studied in the United States of America, thus had been enlightened about them to take active role in the Pan-African movement. The something which you have to note, it is that those African leaders, some of the African nationalist leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, Kamuzu Banda and Nnamdi Azikiwe studied in the United States of America, and that's why they had been enlightened to attend the conference in order to take an active role during the conference in the Pan-African movement. So after looking the Pan-Africanism or Pan-Africanist movement, we are going to see the last subtopic, which is the civilized movement in the United States of America. This is our last subtopic in this topic. The civil rights movement in the USA. The civil rights movement was an ideological and political movement of people of African origin in America that demanded for total democracy, which allowed the citizens of America, both black and white, to participate fully in the economic, political, and the social affairs of the country. It means the civil rights, the rights of the people. It means that was the movement that were demanding the civil rights or the fundamental rights of the people of both black and white in the new world to participate fully in the economic, political, and social affairs of the country. So that was the demanding of total democracy, which allows the citizens of America, both Africa or black and white, to participate fully in the economic, political, as well as social matters within the country. Which country? United States of America, or by that time called the New World. The movement was advocating for equal rights and fair treatments to all people irrespective of their races. It means that The movement was aiming at ensuring that there is equal rights and fair treatment to all people, irrespectively their races, or irrespective of their races, meaning that there must be equal treatments regardless of their races. If you are black, you have to be treated fairly. If you are white, you have to be treated equally to black people. So that was the main aim of the movement, to advocate the equal rights for all races in the New World. The main architects of this movement were Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It means that the main advocates of this movement was Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Let us see the objectives of the civil rights movements. The first one was to end all kinds of discrimination. To end all kinds of discrimination. It means that the objective of the civil rights movements include to end all kinds of discrimination. The first one, or the first objective, was to end all kinds of discrimination. The main objective of the movement was to end all kinds of discrimination and the segregation of people of African origin in America. It means that the first objective, or the among of the aim of forming that civil rights movement, was to end or to eliminate all kinds of discrimination that was taking place in the United States of America. It means that the discrimination and the segregation aimed to be eliminated. The people of African origin had been subjected to political, social, and economic forms of discrimination and segregation. It means that the people of African origin had been subjected to all forms of political, social, and economic segregation as well as discrimination. For example, the Africans or the black people in the New World were denied to get education. But also, they had no right to participate in political matters, either to be voted or to be voted. Also, to form political parties, they were not allowed. In the economic, they were not supposed to own property, like land, farms, industries. Africans were not supposed to own those things, or they were prohibited to own or to have those rights or fundamental rights. The second one was create an ideal American society. It means that to create an ideal American society. Create an ideal American society by enforcing the implementation of the American Constitution to grant people of African origin the same human rights as accorded to the white people. It means that aimed to create the equal American society, which will provide the fundamental rights to equal people found in the New World, regardless their races. If the black must get the equal rights which is accorded to the white person or white people. To mean that the people of New World were suggested or were supposed to get the same human rights as accorded to the all people in the New World. But the another was equal employment opportunities. Equal employment opportunities. To enforce the government to grant equal employment opportunities to people of African origin were denied employment, especially on federal projects and the departments. Made that the people of African origin were denied to get employment opportunities, especially on federal projects and the departments, because of their races. So the movement of the civil rights movements aimed to enforce the government to grant the equal employment opportunities to the people of African origin to attain or to acquire those positions in federal projects and departments. But the another was right to vote. Right to vote and to be voted. The civil rights movement necessitated or suggested or proclaimed that the people of African origin must have the right to vote and to be voted. To enforce the government to grant people of African origin the right to vote and to be voted for. This was one of the major objectives of the civil rights movements, because the people of African origin had been segregated from affairs of their country. It means that the people of African origin were segregated from affairs of their country, or were segregated from participating in political matters, in the issue of voting and to be voted. So that civil rights movements were advocating that issue, or that right to vote and to be voted. But another was developing unity and solidarity. To mean that the civil rights movement was aiming to develop unity and solidarity among the peoples of African origin. To mean the movement aimed at developing unity and the solidarity of all people of African origin in America. To mean that the people, or the black people were in the New World, were aimed to be united and to bring their solidarity. The movement wanted to sensitize people of African origin to identify their positions in the society and their vision and the direction. To mean that the movement wanted to sensitize, or to bring the sense in the people of African origin mind to identify their positions in the society, to identify their position, their vital role, their important role in the society, and to show or to know their vision and direction in the country or in America. But another was basic needs. Another objective was to address the basic needs. The movement also wanted to ensure that the people of African origin are given their basic needs. It means that the black people in the New World were aimed to be given with the basic needs. The movement also wanted to ensure that people of African origin are given their basic needs. They summarized their demands in the final point. We need land, bread, housing, and education. These were the basic needs which were supposedly to be given to the peoples of African origin in New World, as they summarized their demands in the final point that we need land. The Black Panther Party suggested that if business and the government do not provide for full employment, the community should take over the means of production. That was the Black Panther Party suggested to the government, by claiming that if business and the government did not provide or not provide for full employment, the country should take over the means of production. And another, or the last one, or the last objective was to stamp out slavery, to eliminate or to abolish slave trade or slavery in the United States of America. The movement, or the civil rights movement, wanted to stamp out or to eliminate slavery and improve the working conditions of people of African origin. It means that the working conditions of the people of African origin was aimed to be improved and to stamp out the slavery. After the civil wars, slavery was abolished, but people of African origin were still working in conditions that were not different from those of slavery. It means that after civil wars that took place in America, the slavery was abolished, but the people of African origin were still working under the conditions similar to the conditions which were under the people during slavery. So that's why the civil rights movement wanted to stamp out those conditions which were placed which were placed towards the people of African origin during that time. So after looking at the objectives, let us see the achievements of the civil rights movements. What were the achievements of the civil rights movements? The civil rights movements registered great success in fighting for the rights of black people in the United States of America. It means that the civil rights movements registered a great success in fighting for rights of black people in the United States of America. It marked the turning point in the economic, political, and social well-being of the black. It means that the sum of achievements that the civil rights movement was achieved was like the turning point of economic, political, and social well-being of the peoples of African origin in the New World. The first achievement was the people of African origin, or black people, were given the right to vote and to be voted for. Political positions in the United States mean that the achievement number one of civil rights movements was the black people that were present in the New World were given the right to vote and to be voted for positions in the country. For example, they should be governor of the state, mayors of the cities, Congress, representatives, ambassadors, and the military commanders and presidents. It means that the black people in the New World were given some rights to vote and to be voted for political positions in the country. For example, they were suggested that should be governors, mayors of the city, Congress representatives, ambassadors, military commanders, and finally president. As we saw, the Barack Obama was the African origin. That was the mixture of the two countries' parents. The one parent from Kenya in Africa, and his parents from America. So you can see that the Africans or black people or people of African origin started to get political positions in America. But the another one, the USA government recognized that positive actions were needed to improve the opportunities of the black people in the United States. It means that after the civil rights movements to take place in the USA, the government of USA recognized the positions or the positive action that must be taken towards the black people or the people of African origin in the New World. The government decided that the public and the private institutions that employed black people should be considered in terms of tax concession. It means that the government decided that public and the private institutions that were hiring the Africans or the black people should be considered in the terms of tax concession or tax payment. Another, that the black people are also entitled to welfare benefits as much as the whites. It means that the black people were also entitled to welfare benefits as much as the whites. Mean that the provision of welfare in the new world or in America were the same as what were given to the white people. These benefits included unemployment benefits, housing subsidies, and the state scholarship. To mean that the people of African origin were also given the benefits as the whites did, as the white people were given. Like unemployment benefits, those who had no employment were given some benefits, housing subsidies, housing subsidies, and state scholarship. So these were the achievements that were given, that were attained or achieved by the civil rights movements in the New World. So until there, I would like to say that this is the end of our lesson and our topic at large. So I would like to invite you in the next session to proceed with the coming topics. So as it is the end of our topic, I would like to give you the revision of. So as I've told you that this is the end of our topic, I would like to give you the revision questions. The first one is explain the achievements of civil rights movements. The second one is in short explanations give out the objectives of black movements formed in the New World. And the last one is analyze the Pan-Africanism conferences that took place under Black Solidarity with two main objectives from each. 4 points. So this is the end of our lesson. I would like to welcome you in the next sessions. Thank you.